need that little moment after you've done some like strenuous setting up. Deep breath, interviewing ambassadors, important people, people who have excellency at the front of their name. Yeah. I've looked you up.
It's weird, isn't it? Every time somebody says Your Excellency to me, I look around to see if there's somebody excellent standing behind me.
How would you define someone excellent?
Well, I don't know,
nice hair?
I expect, I don't know, a bishop or someone in full regalia to be behind you. So, I mean, it's one of many things, which is it's a huge privilege, but it always makes me smile a little bit.
The word excellency sounds like there should be other similar things, like your fabulousness.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
I wonder where I'd fall on that list. So if Theresa's
your
excellence...
mediocrity.
Your averageness.
I can roast
your averageness. Yeah. I mean, that's she settled in very quickly to the sort of way this podcast works.
Have we started?
This is started. Yeah, this is how we like to start.
My name is Theresa Bubbear. I'm the British Ambassador to Finland, and you are listening to Can I Finish?
This is Can I Finish, the podcast. I am Travis Glossop.
I'm Inka Valima.
And we've already had a little chat, but we are joined by Her Excellency, Theresa Bubbear.
Yes.
OBE.
Indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what an OBE is?
Absolutely not.
Can you explain that? Because I'm not even sure I know, Theresa.
Well, if you believe Yes Minister, it stands for Other Buggers' Efforts. So I don't believe Yes Minister.
Mm-hmm.
So I am an officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire.
Whoa.
Wow.
The certificate is on the wall just there, so you could go and have a look at that.
Certainly will.
It's all a bit mysterious. So I was awarded it a couple of years ago after I left Estonia. They never really tell you why.
Oh.
But you assume, it's for services to foreign policy or something. You assume you have done something good, usually over a number of years, that has been noticed. So,
okay.
So, but nobody ever tells you exactly what it was that you've done.
So you're not able to tell me what the steps I would need to take to garner an OBE then, because you don't know yourself.
I think, I've nominated many people for them, and I think the secret is you have to have done something that's a little bit different. So, you have to have gone a little bit beyond the day job. Yeah. You have to promote the UK in some way, or promote your own bit of the UK. So
check.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about Oldham. Maybe it could be a sort of Oldham specific award.
An Oldham British Empire something. What would that stand for?
Oldham British. I mean, that's still an OBE. So
yeah, it's still an OBE.
I think we could make that work.
An Oldham bright emblem. There you are.
Can you sort of put that in my bio?
I understand every other word that you just said. And also, I think that it sounds very important and very fancy, but so fancy, it almost sounds like a joke.
Indeed. And that's kind of what it feels like when somebody, that bit, the Oldham one, indeed, but even the real OBE, when somebody phones you and says, we'd like you to accept this. The guy who phoned me, I actually thought I was in trouble. And so I kept him talking. I've known this guy for a very long time. I kept him talking for about 15 minutes, trying to head off the telling off that I thought was coming my way.
Right.
And eventually he said, there's something I have to ask you. And I thought, here we go.
Could you be quiet for just 1 minute, please, Theresa?
But it's more or less what he said. And then he said, I'm instructed to ask you if you'd be prepared to accept an honour from Her Majesty the Queen. And your whole head just goes kind of buzzy and silent. I heard nothing he said after that, nothing at all. And the phone was on speaker because I said to my husband, I'm going to be in trouble. You want to listen to this? I won't tell you what I'd done.
You need a witness.
I won't tell you what I'd done. And it was late at night.
If I disappear,
I
need to know where.
Yes, exactly. The phone call came through late in the evening, and my husband's going, oh my God. And they're saying, and you mustn't discuss this with anyone. You mustn't tell anybody. And my husband's over the other side of the room. So it's an absolutely massive honour. I am very, very proud of it. I'm still not 100% sure exactly what it was for, but many, many, many years of doing all sorts of things. And also, of course, it's all the people who've helped me. So it really is other buggers' efforts in the nicest possible term. I think, not many people get one of these just for doing what they do. Thousands of people around you who help you do what you do.
So speaking of what you do, what is it, Theresa, in the most simplest of terms?
Yep.
So we were invited here as a podcaster. Come and say hello. Come and look at the residency, the beautiful residency, by the way. And it became quite clear quite quickly. I didn't really know what an embassy was. I thought it was a sort of like passport office where you came and checked forms, or you got a visa, maybe.
Maybe, or if you don't have one and you get mocked in Finland, which doesn't ever happen, so you
have
no reason to come here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we don't do visas anymore. We haven't done them for a while. We used to. We do passports. In fact, we don't issue proper passports, but if somebody's got an emergency and their passport's lost or been stolen or fallen in the river or whatever, then we can offer documents to help out.
That's more likely than being mocked.
Certificates for people who want to get married. If a Brit is marrying a Finn, for example, then we do that. So that's one part of our work. I mean, much more broadly, I am His Majesty's ambassador. I am the King's representative in Finland.
Right.
Amazing.
And I also represent the government, the British government in Finland. So going back, the commission I have from the late Queen is exactly the same as one from Elizabeth I would have been. Wow. The language is identical, and it basically says, I, the King or the Queen, trust this person. I'm sending them to you. Please trust them too. And if you want to pass any messages to me, you can do it through them.
Wow.
So in the old days, it would all have been sealed and stamped, and you would know that this was the King's stamp, that this person was trusted. So still, that's where the word envoy comes. It's from the verb to send. So you're somebody who is sent to somewhere else to represent the government.
Right.
I mean, day to day, what we're doing, I don't do an awful lot of representing the King, or it doesn't feel like that. But, if the Finnish government has messages it wants to pass back, or the British government has messages it wants to pass this way, that's what ambassadors are for.
I see.
So Petteri Orpo can call you and be like, tell him I said hi.
Absolutely. Theoretically, yes. He hasn't yet, but other prime ministers in other countries have indeed done that.
All right.
Have indeed called and said, sometimes you want to kind of sound something out.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of it is perfect. I mean, in fact, all of it is perfectly above board. There's nothing sort of spooky about it.
Right.
But it's that direct channel back from one country to another country. Right. Goes through the embassy. And then,
the red phone in the office.
It kind of is the red phone. I mean,
get the president on the line.
Do you have a red phone?
No.
Okay, fine.
And if I did, I wouldn't know the PIN code for it, so I wouldn't be able to work it. But I've got a black one I don't know the PIN code for. But no, I don't have a hotline. But, I could get a message from President Niinistö to our Prime Minister if I needed to. Right. You don't need a red phone for that. So, but basically, I'm there to make sure that the UK stays safe and secure, that the UK is getting more prosperous, so that there's more trade, more money coming in, and then the sort of shop window bit you mentioned, which is making sure that British people, if they're in hospital or in prison here, or if they lose their passports, that we provide assistance to them as well. So those are kind of the headlines.
Is it true, the legend, that when we are here, we're actually on like a UK law grounds?
Yes, you're on British territory.
Oh!
As soon as you walk through the gate, you're on British territory. That would be why you were asked who you are. Did you have to bring photographic
yes.
ID?
Of course. Yes. I brought my passport, especially I got it out of its little box, and I was excited to show the people.
Yep. So, there have been instances, including in London, remember Julian Assange, where you could take refuge in an embassy because you're not subject to the laws of the country where you live. So theoretically, if the place is burning down, the fire brigade need permission from me to come in.
Wow.
Come onto our territory. I would give it pretty fast.
I think so.
If my house were burning down. But so each of these embassies that you passed along the street on the way here, each of them is a little piece of the US, Estonia.
Welcome to my home, Inka, by the way. I mean, technically, we're on my homeland right now.
Amazing. I wanted to visit UK for ages. It's been a while.
And it's at the end of Itanen Puistot here. Who knew? Who knew?
Do UK have any weird laws that America has, like you can't marry a crocodile on a Tuesday, sort of things that you can break like here, but they're not really part of Finnish law system?
Don't think so. Oh my God, I wish we did.
Isn't there a law that... I believe that there's a law that if you are pregnant and you need to go to the toilet...
you can pee in a policeman's helmet.
Yeah.
I don't... First of all, I'm not sure it's a law. I'm not sure it's a law. I'm not sure it's true.
Yeah.
But you
to
can't
be
be
honest.
arrested for it.
We don't have Well, the policeman would be busy with other things, I guess, rather than arresting you. We don't have any policemen with those sorts of helmets. Or, to the best of my knowledge, any pregnant women. So who knows? Who knows?
Yes.
Okay. I'm interested in how you ended up here. So, I mean, when I went to school, there was no, like, international, like, sexy jobs.
Go be a diplomat.
Yeah, go be a diplomat that you could really sort of study for. Is it something that you was like, from a young age, I know what I want to do. I want to go around the world and sort of take Britain out there.
I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a teacher. And I got a place, as I was finishing my degree, I got a place to be a teacher. And then I discovered that all my friends were applying to be diplomats. We were studying languages.
Right.
So, and they all had heard, this was cool. You could go and be paid to travel around the world. And I said, well, first of all, are you serious? People like us, really, we're going to be diplomats? I don't think so. And second, but I've got my place to go and train to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And then I realised literally all of them went off. In fact, I think the whole of my university town went off one Saturday afternoon. You had to take the first exams in a church hall somewhere.
Right.
And like everybody was doing it. And I realised I was going to be completely on my own for a whole afternoon. So I thought, sod it, I'll go along as well. So this is genuinely the story of how it went. And because I thought, sod it, whatever, I'm going to be a teacher. I don't care about this. I just had massive FOMO. I thought they were all going to go out without me afterwards and I wouldn't be there. So so I went along as well and took the test. And I swear, because I didn't care, I was actually, I think a couple of us got through the first round and then I got through the second round and then the third and the fourth round. And it started to get a bit embarrassing. And 40 years later, my friends still remind me very regularly that I was the one who didn't want to be a diplomat.
And you're still like, I don't care.
And,
I don't care. I don't want to even be here.
And they all did. So it was the language. I studied Russian at university. This was the 1980s. They needed Russian speakers.
Yeah.
In the way that the world kind of needs Mandarin speakers now. They needed Russian speakers back then. They thought they did back then.
That's amazing. So looking at your CV, like you say, you have been here, there and everywhere. Just to list a couple of them off. Moscow, Johannesburg, Tallinn. Out of all the places that you visited, was there one that you wish you could have stayed a little bit more? You feel like you didn't sort of see everything that you wanted to?
That's a good question. There are two where I did stay a little bit more. So both in Tallinn before here and in Budapest before that. I stayed 5 years. I was sent for 4 and I stayed for 5.
Right, yeah.
And actually I have to say, much as I absolutely adored both of them, after 5 years it was time to go. You do, in this profession, you get very itchy feet. And it's, it takes a year to arrive. Yeah. And it takes a year to leave. In your final year, you're thinking about packing up and what next and lots of things. So the years in between are what you've got to enjoy yourself. And the 2 years in between arriving and leaving didn't feel long enough. But I have honestly been happy and settled everywhere I've been. And I think you'd go crazy if you weren't. Life would be miserable if you were stuck somewhere that you really, really didn't like and couldn't settle down in. So we've got settling down to a fine art.
Absolutely.
Pictures on the walls, that's always the first thing.
Theresa, you're in your second stint in Finland.
Yep.
You were here in the late 90s, I believe?
96 to 2000, yeah.
So what changes have you seen in Finland from then until now? It must be drastically different.
You saw the millennia vibe era.
Yeah. I saw the Finland's just joined the EU era.
Oh, when was that?
95. So I arrived 96. Finland was just in the EU then. And I think also in 95 had beaten Sweden at ice hockey. There was a bit of an ice hockey vibe
moment.
Yes.
Torille,
indeed. So that was
Never
in the air as
95.
well. Nokia was booming in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Absolutely booming. I mean, Finland was standing tall back then. The NATO debate had just been kicked into touch for the 100th time.
Yeah.
No discussion about NATO. That was never going to happen. It was a good time. It was a really good time. In terms of what's changed, I mean, visibly, the skyline of Helsinki's changed. There are bits of Ruoholahti, for example, when my kids went to school, that it was just water when we were here before. Yeah. So all of that has kind of been filled in and luxury apartments built on it. So it took me a little while to figure out just this city doesn't look exactly like it used to. Kalasatama, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah. That happened like this.
Yeah, it just wasn't, one day it wasn't there and the next day it was 35 stories high. So
I can't imagine that. I went there today And that just didn't exist.
No, it didn't exist. There was no metro.
So fast.
So we lived in Tapiola, and there was no metro. So, things have really, really changed in that way. Outside Helsinki, I have to say, I've revisited lots of places, and most of them basically look the same. But that's fine. I think if you went round smaller towns in the UK, they would basically look the same as they did in 2000.
In a way, those towns look charming when the time passes by.
Yeah.
But in Finland, Kouvola, it just...
Yeah. I think it's a fine line. There must be a point where a town decides if it's going to become charming or if it's just going to look really sad and really sad and empty and like in the UK, sort of charity shops and opticians. That's all I've got where I live.
High Street.
On the high street, yeah. So I think a lot of Finland is still very, very charming, and it doesn't look much different from 2000 or probably from 1900 or 1800 to be honest. In other ways, I think things actually have changed frustratingly slowly.
Right.
So when the example I always quote is when we came to Finland in 96, we had an online bank account. I mean, we'd barely got a computer. It was so exciting. We had this online bank account with you remember the sheets of passcodes you cross off your passcode.
Really?
Yeah. Every time you signed in, you used the next passcode and you cross that off.
Oh my!
And if you lose the paper, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. That was that. But I mean, that was revolutionary. Yeah. That was amazingly cool. And then when I was in Estonia, I went there in 2016. We all, including diplomats, had EID cards. Everything is on your EID card, including banking. Yeah, absolutely. You can run your whole life on your EID in Estonia. And I come back to Finland and, go to talk about opening a bank account. And what do they give me? A sheet of one-time passcodes.
Wow.
Because I have now got the secure ID. But the person, you're like, oh, okay. So this was amazing in 96. It's a bit less amazing in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think particularly coming from Estonia, it feels to me a little bit as if this little tiny country across the water has shot past.
Yeah.
They have absolutely shot past, and Finland is still going, we were really good in 1996.
Well, hey, if it's good then, it's going to be good now.
I love the 90s, man.
Yes.
I think this is a bit heavy coming from the Brits.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Really hasn't changed since.
We haven't changed since 1432 and we're proud of it. Proud of it.
So in terms of being in Finland and sort of assimilating into the culture, I've got a few things I want to check to see if you are into from Finnish culture and if there's any that Inka wants to chuck in.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
There will be. Are you a big fan of makara?
No.
Okay.
Why?
I'm vegetarian.
Veggie makara?
Yeah.
Is there such a thing?
They're not very good, the ones I've tried in other places. I don't think I've tried Finnish veggie makara. But
they do not sponsor us, so we can cut this out. But muu makkara is quite good.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it has a similar texture to actual makkara.
Maybe you could ask them to sponsor you now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Send us some free veggie sausages and we'll make sure they make their way to the embassy. Thank you. Muu makkara?
Muu makkara.
Muu makkara. How often are you saunaing?
Not as often as I would like here, but certainly in the old days it used to be at least once a week.
Yeah.
That's acceptable.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize you were
it
being
was a
marked.
test. Yeah, no, I didn't.
Neither did I.
Well, I'm a teacher. I can't help it.
Actually, I'm also a teacher now. So this is 3 teachers having a conversation. So
I never got to be one. I got to be an ambassador instead.
Well, that's true.
I have the soul of a teacher, I fear.
Yes.
That counts.
Yep.
It does count. It's in there somewhere. Lake swimming. Where do you spend your summers? Do you spend your summers here as well?
I have done the last 2 years. I've stayed here. All my colleagues have children and they want summer holidays. Yeah. And I'm really happy to be in Finland in June, July, August.
It's the best.
Holding the fort when there's generally not much going on. So and I've got friends who've invited us to summer cottages. Yes. So we don't have one and the embassy doesn't have one. I think the British taxpayer might frown on that, but
I think Finnish taxpayers would be just fine with that.
Well, they might be. But been to friends' summer cottages and loved it, and swum in lakes as well.
What about dressing as Kärjä for Eurovision? Did you have a Eurovision party first off?
The embassy had a Eurovision party. Yeah. I was on holiday in Texas at the time, so
Kärjä mania.
It's a drastic drastic excuse to get out of dressing as Käärijä. So,
that's going to Texas is like the furthest away that you can get from Eurovision.
You could possibly get. I have to say, I was watching because of the time difference, we missed the singing, but we were sitting in a hotel room in Houston watching the voting.
Right.
Nice.
And he was robbed. He should have won.
He was robbed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've heard it here first, Käärijä.
Yeah.
You were robbed. Well, not first. It's been about a year and a half. But, you know what I mean. Salmiakki, licorice.
Love it.
Do you?
Love it.
Good.
Or have always loved it and will always love it. I could eat enough to make my kidneys fail.
Not on board at all.
Yeah.
Shush. What's your favourite?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. I'm not very discerning.
Any and all.
Any and all.
All right.
Yep.
What is your take on ice hockey?
Boring.
Are you boring?
I went to one ice hockey match once when I was a student in the US, and within the first 10 minutes, a guy got his leg broken so badly you could hear it round the stadium.
Interesting.
And I have never wanted to watch ice hockey since.
Oh.
Ooh.
I have to buy some tickets.
So I can still hear that would have been 1981 maybe. I can still hear that snap.
Oh.
So no,
All right.
just no.
Do you watch any sports?
I like watching Wimbledon.
Right.
I like watching I love the Olympics. I don't care what's on at the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, those World Championship athletics and that kind of stuff. You get really into something you'd never heard of until last night.
Oh, snowboarding.
Ski jumping.
Yeah. And all this, the stuff that people do, I can't remember what it's called, on the little tiny bikes, like the little clown bikes, where you're going down vertical. What's it called?
DMX is the rapper.
Oh, BMX. No, BMX.
DMX is the rapper, BMX is the bike.
Yeah.
That's what I've always said.
But is it BMX when you're doing it? I know they do BMX around circuits, but they also do it, on skateboard slopes and that kind of thing. So,
like sort of Tony Hawk trick moves.
Yeah,
and
there's
stuff.
sort of weird stuff that. So
when you said clown bike, I was a little unsure. Are you sure that was the Olympics?
They're really tiny.
Yeah.
So, and they basically don't have a saddle, because if you had a saddle, you'd do yourself a mischief when you went over the bumps.
Oh yeah, gosh.
So they do look like little clown bikes.
Right.
But,
It's just metal spike.
Yeah.
That's
Good luck.
Yeah.
Swiftly moving on. Last one here is I want to check what's the vibe on Mammi?
Yeah, quite like it. I think anybody who likes salmiakki will also like Mammi.
Good point. Maybe that's why I'm not vibe.
Actually,
no, I thought Mammi was more interesting than a sort of a good or bad food experience. I just thought it made me think about myself.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. But you have strong feelings about salmiakki, but how about just basic licorice?
Oh, like licorice all sorts?
Yeah.
Bertie Bassett's?
Yeah.
I would have to refer you to an ongoing gag in our podcast, Baby Mouth. Not a fan.
All right.
I'm a baby mouth, Theresa.
Okay. I'm sure you are.
I'm glad you're okay with you.
Well, listen, if you say it to me enough that I can't sort of not introduce myself as that. I can't say it in conversation and then sort of just pass on by like I didn't say it.
I like that you're playing this on me, but you made the song.
I did make a song, yes, that is true.
Can I ask a question? What about Marmite?
Oh, no, absolutely
so
not.
You don't like salty stuff? Marmite's really salty.
I love salty stuff, though. I like...
no, you don't. You don't like Marmite or
like
salmiakki.
I don't think we're going to get on food-wise in this, because I feel like I'm just not very adventurous when it comes to salty things, maybe.
The vibe was interesting. As soon as you were starting to ask these questions about Finland, I'm not very patriotic in any way, but in these questions I'm like, all right.
Oh, yeah.
I should represent Finland in this discussion.
I see.
And Finns care very much what foreigners think about Finland.
Yeah.
So Finns do sit up a bit straighter when you start asking a foreigner questions about Finland, and they are prepared to take offence immediately if the wrong answer is given. So
Which is exactly why this podcast is a success.
Yeah.
Because every week I say something problematic about Finland and people tell me off for it. Finns love
hearing what other people think about us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's a national sport without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, it is, and we are winning.
Big time. Okay, I've got some diplomacy fact or fiction questions for you.
For it.
So I have watched The Diplomat because I didn't sort of do it as sort of training for this conversation, but I thought it's not going to hurt. Do you know what I mean? Yep. We're currently in the residency.
Yep.
It's very beautiful. Have you ever considered renting it out on Airbnb for the weekend?
have I ever considered going to jail for a very long time for fraud? Nah.
No.
I'm normally here at the weekend.
Right.
So the last thing I want is other people going up and down the stairs. So it is really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful because it serves the purpose for which it's.
Because you don't have stag do's here, for instance.
Because I don't let it out on Airbnb for the weekend. But
not even tempting.
Absolutely not. No.
Imagine coming back to. Like,
I would pay money to keep it to myself at the weekend. Quite the opposite. Whatever the opposite of Airbnb is, like, don't come in my home, please, ever. Yeah. That's what I do at the weekends.
But Finnish prisons are nice, I've heard.
That is a point. Would you go to prison here or prison in Britain?
Be UK, wouldn't it?
Right.
Is it the food?
I don't quite know where to start with that.
I don't either.
Reasons why the ambassador doesn't want to go to prison. Is it the food?
We're supposed to be making a good impression.
I think we've established that I'll eat pretty much anything. So.
That's true, yeah, actually, yeah. Well, you won't need to ever find out what the food's like in prison.
I will not, no.
Although you can, I don't know whether to go down this road, but you can do those things where you stay in a prison overnight. I don't know if you see it like an old prison and they run it.
UK?
Yeah, and they run it like a sort of hotel and it's an old prison. If you're into spooky things.
I've stayed in is it Kakkola in Turku, which is, but I stayed in the posh hotel bit of it. I think there is also a prison experience.
Their cells
you can do
there. Yeah, they look kind of like funny.
Right.
Funny thing.
Funny how?
Can we stop talking about prison?
Yes, sure. Yeah, no, let's move on. That's a good note. Okay, so in the Diplomat, Kerry Russell, is your life like that? Question one, that is. No. How often do you fly military jets?
I've been in military helicopters.
Really?
That is cool. I've never been in a helicopter and I've never been on a hot air balloon, and there are two things that I'd quite like to do.
I'm scared of hot air balloons. I'm a bit scared of helicopters, to be honest, but sometimes you have to. So there's a lot of military stuff in Estonia when I was posted there. So
right.
So yeah, I've been in helicopters. I've been in tanks as well.
You've been in a tank?
I've been in multiple tanks.
Your job is weird. Can I say that?
My job's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, good point. It's cool.
It's varied, I think is the word you're looking for.
Yes, exactly.
It's varied. So yeah, I've I can't remember what the original question was. I've never been in a military jet. They tend to be built for one. I've sat in them.
Yeah.
I've sat in one. In Rovaniemi, I was in an F-16, F-18, I'm not sure which is which. Presumably, like Microsoft one is a newer version of the the other one. So I've climbed in and out of them and had photos taken in them. Right. I wouldn't fly in one for a pension, even if there was more than one seat.
Okay, Netflix. Have you heard that? Doesn't happen.
So you haven't actually. It's inspired me this a bit. You haven't been to army, right, Travis?
No, I haven't. No.
Because there's a surprise in your face that you've been in the tanks. Like what? I think
every Finnish guy's been in a tank.
Yeah. It's not a thing. Like I remember my granddad used to talk about having to go to the army and stuff. That wasn't really an option. I don't know whether
I think it was an option.
With me or
I think it would have been an option if you'd wanted to.
Yeah, I didn't. These hands have never done a day's work in their lives.
So you can choose.
Yes, you
completely. You don't even do a tiniest bit of.
No, you either join or you don't.
Some people think that it would be a good idea for everyone to do at least a little bit. I think it's just as good to go and work in a supermarket and meet the general public and have to deal in customer service. They're different levels of stress, I would say, but
different customers.
They're very different customers, but there's both worthwhile skills to learn.
Yeah, I think if you want to serve your country. Work in a hospital.
Just work in a hospital, that's good. I did hospital radio. It's not the same, but...
It almost counts.
Almost. Theresa, back to you, because you're the person we're supposed to be talking to. Are you presented with dresses to wear at galas and the like?
Do I look like I'm presented with dresses to wear at galas?
This is the gala, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
No, but still, if I were that kind of person, I don't think I'd be sitting here in my jeans today. Categorically, no, and never have been. And to be honest, wouldn't really want to.
Yeah, I think it's weird.
I think it's a bit weird. Yeah, I can be lots and lots of things, but I'm never going to be a very good clothes horse. Nobody would want me to be modelling their clothes at Independence Day, so we'll see.
Well,
I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm counting that as 2-0 Netflix. Okay, I'm obsessed with the breakfast that Kate has in the embassy every morning. Mm-hmm. Do you have like a strict sort of breakfast where there's, I don't know, like a big continental thing or no?
I don't have any. Nobody makes my breakfast. No. Except me.
As it should be.
We do sometimes have official breakfasts. Right. So, next week a couple of weeks, I've got a group of ladies coming for a female leadership breakfast, and then we will have a sort of mixture of continental. We don't have a full cooked breakfast because that's a hassle to do first thing in the morning for a lot of people. So we have a very, very British looking breakfast, I think. So if we have an official breakfast, then normally I will eat my own breakfast first before I go down, because when I'm hosting an official breakfast, I've got to talk, I've got to check everybody's okay, I've got a million things to do. Yeah. There isn't much time to eat by yourself. So I categorically do not have someone who's cooking me a full English breakfast every morning.
And they deliver your papers.
And then eating. Did you notice in the Diplomat, her husband always finishes everything. I mean, there's a thing there. I don't know how it's going to pan out in series 2, but he always finished her food.
He did. He was always sat there just sort of munching away, and she'd sort of, I don't know, grab a grape or something and head out to do something important. Yep. Okay, final question about the Diplomat. Does someone pack your luggage for you?
No, and again, I wouldn't want them to.
See, as much as I loved that show, it clearly just a load of nonsense.
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know what life is like for the US ambassador in London. They'd be much, much grander and more important than the British ambassador to Finland, for sure.
No, so they don't say that.
Probably do have more staff. They'll have bodyguards and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, why would you want somebody to pack your bags for you? I don't know what I want most of the time, so how would anybody else know what I was thinking of taking? I wouldn't like that.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of our conversation, Theresa. You've been very kind in letting us babble at you for quite a while and ask silly questions, but I've just got a couple more silly questions just to close off. So basically, let's talk about the Great Britain. What do you miss from Great Britain? Because obviously you've spent your time in so many different countries. Is there anything that you were like, okay, this is a thing that I take wherever I go?
Decaf tea bags.
Yeah, same. I'm a Yorkshire tea bag person.
Yep. Food, I don't think I crave anything. Gravy granules occasionally.
Yeah. Malt vinegar is one for me. I always bring malt vinegar here. Because that
begin to know how to transport malt vinegar. Do you put it in your suitcase?
If I've got, obviously I wouldn't take it in my hand luggage. Suitcase, wrap it up.
Wrapped up, heavily.
But you can get like a plastic one from Tesco, like the sort of just the cheapest one.
Yeah.
I won't risk taking the guess ones. You see,
neither would I.
I wouldn't take a Sarson's Inka. Do you know what I mean?
You lost me like 3 minutes ago.
Okay, I can't wait to watch this back and you're just sort of staring into space.
Malt vinegar
I'm spaced out.
It's the only thing you can have with fish and chips. It makes a huge difference, and I would take the top off and just pour, basically. I love it. But then you can't really get fish and chips, so you don't really need malt vinegar.
That's true.
So,
I have a dream of opening a proper chippy here. Like, we're talking proper, like, scallops, like the potato scallops, not fancy fish ones. Little, like, bits of batter and like,
can the embassy
sausages.
Be your first customer? Pickled eggs.
Pickled eggs. Battered sausage. Yeah. Gravy. Savoys.
Yep. But no mushy peas. I don't like mushy peas.
Do you not? Okay, that's where we differ. Again. I love a mushy pea. Yep. But
you just buy a food truck and park it outside.
I think I'd get some pretty good business around here.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the Americans quite
and
like
nowhere
fish and
else.
Well.
Yeah. That's true.
Tala ya Peruna coming soon.
Yeah.
A couple of would you rathers, but to finish. Karjalan piirakka versus a sausage roll from Greg's.
Oh, Karjalan piirakka every time.
Woohoo!
Love them. Absolutely love them. I'm not a big sausage roll fan, not even a vegan sausage roll, but I would go a long way for a good Karjalan piirakka.
Are you a Moonavoy on top as well?
Bet. Yep.
Do you prefer those like traditional Karelian pies that are almost closed, or those open ones?
I prefer them open, so you've got more room for your egg and butter to go soggy.
Understandable.
I go with that as well. Fatsa versus Cadbury.
Ooh.
This is tough.
I'm not really a chocolate person. I'm sorry to be really boring. I'm not trying to avoid the question. I think if absolutely pushed, I would say Cadbury because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
So those are the flavours of the Easter eggs that I had and
Not
things.
Nestle.
But I don't really eat chocolate, not even Ferrero Rocher.
Wow, I actually told someone I was coming here today and they asked if I brought some and I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't think to.
No.
Well, you wouldn't have one anyway.
I wouldn't have had one. I've got a bit of a nut thing and I don't really like chocolate, so Ferrero Rocher doesn't.
Do you have anything sweet?
Salmiakki. It's a
Yeah.
candy.
Guys, that is literally the opposite of what I just asked.
Yeah, no, I don't mind ice cream. In moderation, but no, not really. I'd much rather have a starter than a dessert. Always. Rather have crisps than chocolate.
Crisp culture. This is one of your big things, isn't it, about Britain? Crisp culture.
Yeah.
A country where you can buy crisps in a reasonable one-person size packet
Exactly.
and not be absolutely obliged by law to eat your body weight in a sack of crisps.
Well, I would like to take back to Britain. I'd like to take Dippy because I think that has excelled my crisp game.
Yeah. That is true.
Now, finally, I heard a little rumour, Theresa, that you can speak Finnish.
It must have been a very little rumour.
Yep. How confident are you in your Finnish?
I don't know how much you know about language levels. I've reached C1 level in Finnish twice, which
That's
is
good.
It's a reasonable level of Finnish. The trouble is, each time I reach C1 level, I then go to Finland and speak English for the next however many years. So I am confident I can listen to the news. I'm confident I can read the newspapers.
Right.
I'm utterly confident if I was parachuted into somewhere and had to survive, I would survive. But I'm a bit shy about it otherwise.
That's all right.
If you want to try some words, I'm happy to have a go.
Do you have a favourite Finnish sentence, maybe, or something that you? What's your go-to to get into your Finnish, maybe?
I have no niin. It's everybody's go-to, isn't it?
Good.
My favourite Finnish phrase, which makes me laugh every single time. And is it a Finnish phrase? Kaikki muumit eivät ole laksossa. Which means not all the Moomins are in the valley, which is somebody's a sandwich short of a picnic, basically. So that's
what did it say? Sandwich short from a picnic.
A sandwich short of a picnic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Also one that kaikki kynät ei ole penaalissa. Or your pencils are not in your
pencil
case.
box. Yeah. But the Moomins is that's
good.
That's my
Kaikki
favourite.
muumit ei ole laaksossa.
I'm now realising I've heard those phrases quite a lot, sort of directed at me.
Hadn't realised they're yours.
Hadn't realised. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Theresa. It's been wonderful to chat to you. This has been Can I Finish in the actual
embassy.
The residency at the embassy. Theresa, is there anything you wanna say before we let you go about your daily business? Anything you want to plug, Britain or whatever?
Oh yeah, Britain is great. I mean, it goes without saying, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to plug. The King's quite good. Britain is wonderful. Visit Britain, and the embassy's great. Great team. Most people in the embassy are Finns. I bet you didn't know that. Most people who work in the British embassy are Finnish.
So we heard.
So So it's a cool place, and Finland is. I mean, Helsinki's an amazing place to live, and Finland is a great place to work and a really interesting place to work, which a lot of people don't really think is true. It's a bit boring. It's not boring. It's fabulous. So, and I've never done a podcast before, and I'm still not sure if we've started yet.
I think I pressed record. I'm not sure. We'll find out, won't we? Thank you so much, Theresa.
Thank you. You did well.
You're welcome.
You passed.
Oh, you passed.
You.
Well done.
Thank you.
The ambassador's receptions are noted in society for their host's exquisite taste.
Ferrero Rocher.
Monsieur, with this Rocher already spoiling us.
Ferrero Rocher, a sign of good taste.